One of you own it. One of you own it.
Maybe because of this, the camp, it's not getting on there. The hangouts. Can I switch this off for a while?
The hangouts, no, hangouts were broadcasting already.
Okay.
The hangouts you know. We can make another public video. Like, I need a link that you can connect this camera over here.
The hangouts thing.
Yeah.
It's here. Hangouts. Let him come. Yeah.
Okay, let's get started. Yeah, thanks, all. Thank you so much for coming on a Sunday. How many of you had a chance to come to our previous meetup, which was also in a similar topic? Okay, wonderful. Glad to see that back again. So my name is Nihal Kashinath. I run the IoT Bangalore. Not loud. Okay. Yes. Okay. So my name is Nihal Kashinath and I run the IoT Bangalore community. It is an open community for people interested in the Internet of Things. So normally how we run these events is that we do a roundup of all the different activities in the next couple of weeks in the space of IoT. But this time is a little different because we are focusing on the Makeathon, which is a program that we're doing for projects like workbench projects, the Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore, and IIT Madras, and a whole bunch of other, really great individuals of physical disabilities, APD. So the idea behind, I'll quickly get into the Enable Meetup itself. Everybody familiar with this? Everybody with what Enable Meetup is? Okay, so the idea behind Enable Meetup was Red Cross wanted to create solutions for physical disabilities, that is locomotor disabilities, hands, legs, all of those, especially those living in rural areas. The reason being they don't really have access to some of the things like wheelchairs, which perhaps people in slightly more affluent areas would have. That is very hard to combine in rural areas. So Red Cross, because they work in so many conflict areas, vaccines that happen due to landmines, but in countries like India where there are, it's not a conflict area, they do a lot of work in this disability space to ensure that people who require this kind of support get some access to it. One interesting thing that they wanted to do was leverage the new technologies that are coming up, 3D printing, 3D scanning, all of that to see if they could, using some of this new technology, attack some of those ignored problems and find some elegant solutions to all of these. Right? So that was the idea behind it. And what they decided to do was to crowdsource solutions, or to crowdsource ideas for these assistive devices. Now, crowdsourcing means best ideas didn't really come from anywhere. And what they wanted to do was allow those best ideas to bubble up and then support it in terms of providing financial resources, in terms of providing expert resources, in terms of helping everybody come to the same place and to be able to work on something. Right? That was the basic idea behind this Enable Meetup. And we started potentially doing it like a general hackathon, which would run for 2 days, morning evening, overnight, and then next morning evening. And that would be great for doing a very basic prototype. But the problem is a lot more complex, which means that, in addition to just building up those prototypes, you also have to understand the end user's point of view. You have to understand the challenges that they face, and the business side of the entire thing, right? Logistics is a challenge. How do you distribute it to rural areas? How do you make it easy to repair if something goes wrong? So there are a lot of other challenges around, especially when you're looking at rural areas. So then we thought it might be more helpful to have a slightly longer program, which would go for about 2 months and which would take in aspects of technology, design, business, and of course, the end users for sector as well. So that is how this program was designed. It is What we're going to have is a 2-month long or a 60 days long. We'll have an introduction to the various challenges and an immersion into what it is like, for people with disabilities. So on those immersion days, what we do is the Association of People with Disabilities, the center, where they have manufacturing facilities for crutches, for wheelchairs, for prosthetics, and we'll take a look at how those things are manufactured. We'll also get experience using these devices and seeing what are some of the challenges people face. You'll also be able to see how students with physical disabilities are going about their studies and how adults who are on the other side, how they go about their daily life and their work. And that might give you some insights about how to improve your product idea. So, and of course, we'll also look at some different challenges people are having in those, so that you get a better appreciation of what happens in daily lives. After the challenge and immersion day, you have about a month to start working on your. So weekly checkpoints, mentors will be available throughout, experts will be available. You will also get 50,000 rupees worth of equipment that you need for prototyping. So you can order yours for it up to 50,000 rupees. Then there is the business bootcamp day which will happen at IIMB. So IIMB and Dalberg are conducting this business bootcamp, specifically looking at some challenges related to this particular sector. Right? And there are a lot of challenges. How do, like I mentioned, distribution is a big challenge. Maintenance is a big challenge. A lot of times there's some of these devices after they've been deployed. So how do you manage some of these things? So IIMB and Dalberg will help you learn a little bit more about that part. Then it's a 2-day hackathon where the prototype will get done. Taking into account design for manufacturing principles, having done a lot of research, and you'll also have a person with disability as part of each team, so that they also this is working or this is not working or this is how you can improve it. All of this. And then after the Makeathon, you'll again go back and you have another month to work on your business plan, to pitch, to fine-tuning the solution. Probably you can also kind of use that time to create the prototypes, the physical prototypes of your solutions, all of that. And on we have where units on January 23rd, you'll have the final demo day where there will be a lot of NGOs, there will be a lot of investors, all of them are going to be inviting them so that they can come in and, if possible, provide funding, or if not funding, at least come in and share how the first customer for the solution. So the entire program that runs for 60 days will cover, everything from starting with the idea all the way up to having a prototype that is already. So that is what we're trying to do with this. And now, just to play a quick video. Yes. So while in terms of the support that's being given, you will have access to 50,000 rupees for prototyping in the first day. That is up to the maker day. As the maker day, the teams will be asked to be invited to continue on to the second phase, and they'll get another 50,000 rupees. So you have a total of 1 lakh rupees for this prototyping, which you can use. You can't use it to pay salaries. You want to get access to equipment, you want the design services, 3D printing services, you want to try new materials like bamboo, so you want to buy that. All of those things are possible. And at the end of this program, there is, for the top 3 teams, there's a prize pool of $50,000. And the idea behind that was that is really solid and is really making an impact. Then we'd like to give some kind of financial support so that at least you can do a couple of production runs and get the product out there to the market, right? And hopefully from either NGOs or from angel investors or from the government who can become your first customer. So those are some of these.
और उन्हीं बच्चे के साथ में खेलता भी है पढ़ाई में सब बच्चे के बच्चे के बराबर वो सब पूरा रहता है सब बच्चे लोग को पढ़ने को मारता है खेलने के लिए जो दोनों बच्चे खेलते हैं वो खेलने को कोशिश करता है खेलता है
मॉडल करती है इन सबका मुझे काम करना है मुझे बहुत लगा इसके बाद से नहीं किया जब मुझे सारा होता है जैसे हमने यूट्यूब का बुक होता है यानी जैसे नहीं जाता पहले इसके मजदूरी करें
Yeah. So, quick show of hands. How many people already applied to the Okay. How many are going to apply for sure? Like, okay. How many of you want to apply? Maybe not say for sure. How many of you want to apply with a specific idea? Okay. So nobody has a specific. Anybody? Okay. Good. So what we'll do, we'll invite a little bit later today. We'll invite everybody to come in and share what their idea is. In some sense, what we want a pitch session for the people that have ideas, but are looking for potentially collaborators to join the team. There were also we heard from a lot of people that they wanted to be a part of the Makeathon, an idea that they could propose. So we said, okay, fine, come out. There'll be a lot of people pitching ideas, and if you like any of the ideas, if the team requires your skills, then we can match you up. So we do that. Maybe one or two teams that want to showcase their idea, and for anybody else who wants to join them, feel free to reach out to them and do it. Now, another feedback that we got last time is, different challenges that the ICRC has identified as specific, challenges that the people with disabilities are facing, right? Some of these challenges. Yeah. So the first directly affecting the people with disabilities. Right? So first I'm taking performing activities of daily living. Now a lot of these are things that people probably take for granted, always take for granted in terms of being on the top shelf or being able to open doors easily. Now, depending on the disability, that could be a real challenge for someone. So, can you come up with a solution that addresses? The second one is mobility in and around the house. Now, why is this important? So, take for example a wheelchair. Right? Now, somebody has gotten a wheelchair which was issued by the government free of cost. Sorry? Okay. In the rural areas. So, inside the house, that wheelchair might not be very helpful. Reason being, there might be house or there might be, so those thresholds at the door over which they can't cross, or it could be that the doorways are too narrow. So it becomes a challenge. Even though someone has a wheelchair, they're actually even more disabled when they come back home. Right? So that becomes another challenge in terms of mobility in and around the house. The challenge is about mobility in the community and beyond as well. So, for example, how do you use public transportation? Is it easy to climb a bus when you're in a wheelchair? Right? Can you come up with a solution for that? Does the wheelchair use some kind of support to use public transport? Or what about, if you're seeing in a lot of village areas, we don't really have tarred roads, so there'll be mud roads. What happens if there's loose sand or gravel and the wheelchair gets stuck? Right? How does it affect with the crutch? And then the challenge number 4 is accessing education, probably more focused towards children. how do they get access to school? For a lot of them, it might be very uncomfortable to sit in school. For a lot of them, they might not be able to get to school, because it is at a distance. So even once they get to school, how do they hold a pen? How do they get access to the same quality of education?
And the fifth one is related to livelihood, right?
So employability. How can you train people with disabilities to execute certain tasks? It's an important concept there. If you're not able to find employment outside, you still need to earn money somehow. Can they open up a small shop? Can they do tailoring kind of work? Artists. So if you have some solutions to help them, then that would be
something important. The next set of challenges are focused more towards the.
So one of the biggest challenges for people is remote access to the physical rehabilitation services. Now, a lot of these things happen in remote areas. How does caregiver know that there's somebody who requires their help? And alternatively, within the community, the local community there, how do they get access to doctors who might be really far?
Now, one part is, of course, just getting them that access, but
a very large part of this whole, providing disability, how do you follow? Because let's say that you have a prosthetic, you're going to deploy a new prosthetic. All prosthetics have to be customized because because of the nature of the disability, right? So once you have a customized it, given it to the people, they might not necessarily use it because maybe it is painful. Maybe they're using it wrong and putting pressure on it the wrong way on a crutch. Let's see. So now the caregivers can stay there for 3 months and work with them, or they could go on to the next village or the next state and start different solutions. In those situations, how can they continue to work, or monitor what has happened before? That would
ideally, if you can use some sort of being able to send back data all.
Data collection itself to improve quality of services. So if you had a better idea of how people use a certain device or a certain solution, you could use that data to start improving that. A lot of people end up putting pressure on a certain aspect of it, then maybe you could figure out a different mechanical structure that spreads out the pressure, right? So this having more data about what is happening assisted to improve the quality of services.
And finally, we're talking about adaptation, use of new technologies. This is where 3D printing, 3D scanning, all of these come in.
So currently, a lot of done is with, let's say, plaster of Paris. They take a mold of the hand, of the stump, and then they go back and create the device. Can you use new technology that we have today, like 3D scanning, which is not very expensive? Can you use some of those, for your solutions? So these are the main different challenges. So last week when we had this meetup, some people also suggested that a better idea of some of the devices that are out there.
So one of our partners have shared a very nice video. Let me just play this. This is a collection of assistive technology. It is not just for physical disabilities, but I think it's a good video to watch. So there's so many different, small modifications also that can be made to existing technology that can be useful or that can address real pain points. Right? So those are some of the. I hope that has given some idea of different ways that you can look at this. Now note that none of it doesn't necessarily have to have any kind of electronics embedded into it. Right? It could be purely a design change. It could be a materials change. It could be a mechanical solution. I'd like to show you this little video. This is a lady who's had a challenge with some of the locks. They're so small that it's difficult to open with a key. Like a kind of a tremor, right? So she's devised this thing for herself.
Taking a look at it, tell me a little bit about how you came up with design and the materials that you used to create it. Right, well, actually, this guy's right here, the guy without the cross, from here. The lock like this, the lock there, the lock there, it's up here, it's like that. So I think it's something to
To this part.
So the Z opener gives you both leverage and position so that you can manipulate it. Right. Okay, great. Let's go forward. That's true.
That's like a simple enough solution. Right? So it's a simple solution made using just off-the-shelf components. This is pure connect. There's no connectivity. There's no 3D printing. Anything. So those are some of the different. And this lady has actually done quite a bit of work. You can check out her work on it's LDPREDA. So she does a lot of these kind of things for her own use and then also makes it available to everybody else's open source. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we have here. Do you have more? Okay, great. So meanwhile, then I think we'll get started off with some of the challenges. If you want to present a challenge on the idea that if anybody finds this work interesting, then please do reach out to them, and you can have possibly you can form a team. Come on.
We already given one idea. We already given one idea. Apart from that, we are still giving some idea creation and training formation of the 2020 regarding the possibility of the manufacturing. Yes, I will. Just to give you about the possibilities and robotics manufacturing are very difficult procedure. In order it is taking more time. And there is some finishing is not done. So we are thinking of one of another idea. We don't have any knowledge about the 3D, just only so in the only. We don't have any like that. Just want to show you what is photos and process. Photos supporting devices. Photos is giving only support and device used to monitor structure and functional characteristics of the neuromuscular and skeletal system. This is an artificial device that replaces the body. That is replacing of the physical body. Just if you want to just give an introduction to most of the so focus and processes are the people who work and the persons who act under the physical and functional limitations of the people. Illness and accidents including evaluation of focus are very to the state, receive it and monitor focus and process. Next slide is that work from the internet only. I just see one 3D printer here in physically. This is making a socket. Making a socket means that it is to the option body for that the balance is in there. It is making by hands. In this final braces, these are made by the 3D printer. And spinal braces and the foot insole and then that made which of that is really building that is fitted to the passenger process. It is looking like we can get the cosmetic but it is very lightweight and this is another system of scanning, 3D scanning and duplicating the option. In the case of upper limb amputation, this for the lower limb, in upper limb amputations, most of the patients like to use the process because they don't want to use other powders and anything and to make these things for a long time. For cosmetic reinstallation, they want to get the appearance from it. By scanning the normal limb, we can create the opposite side of it. If the part of one patient is not available to be another pattern and take the same design to other pattern and make the same or similarly of other patterns. This is the application in cosmetic restoration of sleeves. Cosmetic restoration means there is some parts of removed and we have to by molding and making and it takes a lot of time. We want to create this little same procedure of this is is one case study. That is now I am doing this time. This patient is already to first affected with their breast and then they are going to remove. And after that, the secondary cause is there, and then that is amputated with this part for this case, how we can do. You see, how we can replicate the area. This is a huge work for us. This is the procedure we are doing. We are first casting it and making a mold and then just and then making symmetry, but it is not symmetry. Just to develop this is a very difficult work. And in my thousand experience, there is no other piece like this. Both are affected by not. Just to make one also going for plane model one piece, and I want to fit that patient as strong positive and then fill it by this silicone materials for getting sort of garden, and then I don't know how this patient may accept this. Other steps include trial fitting in trial method, additional attachment finishing works. And the disadvantages of symmetry of the affected state in normal is poor. Low possibility to low acceptance, heavy weight, difficulty in wearing clothes. We think about the critical. I am telling you, I don't have any knowledge about critical, but associating with it, if you may let us, we can make a team and we can do those and then change the people. And we can do some of the things for the only scan of the record. We can go anywhere and take this scan. No need of lot of machines or tools. Make data and create in our place, and we can take it very friendly, and we can assure it will. Other biometrics we will add to that. For fitting, not only making record. For the first step of this making socket or any. Apart from this orthostatic idea, we can make the orthosis splints in the four small splints, finger splints. How we can make it? We are making, it is not look like a product. If we are giving a product to a patient who is purchasing it is not looking good, but they are purchasing, they are using because of the application of this product. Lack of technology and lack of some knowledge on this field, we want to get support from your side, and the other side. And in other countries, most of the people, companies are using these technologies, but they are not ready to share with others because of their. So I think ACRC may support this and this will get low cost and quality products. Without, if we can go and do it and take this and come back, and whatever maybe the patient want to come to me and through our support, there is huge expense from their side, so we can reduce these expenses of the patients or disabled people. The conclusion is compare the technology and global and setup. The same as make new devices with the help of 3D printer. The same make components with the train every process is an output and it will contain versus people live like a normal human and enable them to get their livelihood. Process how is it will follow? one day to percent. These are the references I made the ideas. Thank you. Most of it is because of building up some parts and then putting up. Yes. That may be different parts are built, and only the parts we can do. Software manufacturing we can do. We know. The standard is in the particular 6 or 10 inch. I have got one idea from US. I already got one made from US. They are building. We can make a 5.3 feet size. 5.3 feet size. So it will be good. Yeah, I think that but I think I've seen some videos of that is downwards. Downwards already is being because there is a patient and there are some solutions out there. But if we are using IT, if we are using and only what required engineering we are using, there is no reason. Any other questions? Software is available. OPE software is there. For this, and one scanner model scanner is there. Bottom scanner is there. And another scanner is full scanner is there. That scanner, normally used for scanning your but people can use the software open source. People are able to translate that into very predictable models like so a model has to be able to create a model file format is to create the software. My whole body. I was able to stand and check the recording check. The hold of the behaviors. And the person use a chair no problem. You go to the scan and when it's scanned, so you see that the percentage was object that is it a difficult thing to find? So there are two levels. Now is not very precise. It is probably about the 3D printer themselves. Most of the experience but there are other printers like
which involve laser shoots on then the whole thing immersion that is very high resolution. 20 times. There are other ways of making the laser make it smooth also. So you have to see is a component ratio. What will actually work? If you really think about that, like this, you cannot. Any other questions?
We want to get some ideas.
These will be all
We want to get more motivated because we want to get that. That is because organization joints. That is different from breaking out because prosthetics by itself is very good. So each one can time one small. You can tell global are different. But regardless of purpose, subsection. That this will be this will make sure
that may be a good way. You can give a list that these are the most common ones.
Yeah.
And you have to list complexity because, for example, gain a spinal brace for someone. More complex. Softer material. So, so I think that suggestion is a good suggestion that you can make a list that these are the most everyone.
what are the meetings you get for
Yeah, this one. You have to say whether it is hard or soft. You need higher resolution, more resolution. You need more degree of freedom, or you need each one very slick. So you can requirements.
Okay. So now one right, one you're on the screen, and I would ask you to give a brief intro to the technology, what are some of the challenges that overall, yeah, overall, what to grow, so you need to learn what the expectation or what the this is in the context. Okay. So, so want to spend time trying to find solutions for it. Right? There is there are many experiences that are very there are for-profit companies that try to do it, but they come up with very expensive solutions, and most of these work. And it works a lot because these alliances or solutions are funded by the healthcare and the insurance system. So cost is not a criteria. But the challenges in third world countries in places like India is far different from what one faces in the Western hemisphere. If you want to start this Makeathon, not look at simply borrowing solutions from abroad that don't fit what we have here, but instead with homegrown solutions technically that will address what people in this country need, will fit the environment that we have, and most effectively be used in rural area. Just to give you some background, about 70% of the population lives in rural areas. Out of the 70% of the rural area population is zero, close to 50% or below the poverty. Which means on an average about 45% of the complete disabled population is below the 49 folks. So what happens to these people? Okay. So what happens to these people when they fall is they get neglected? Okay. People don't pay attention to them, they don't matter, and they don't access facilities. And really speaking, they sort of stay where they are, but everybody is progressing. The range of disciplines, not just so. But in this specific event, we had to choose, pick and choose what we were dealing with. So this method deals with challenges faced by people with low motor disabilities in the rural spaces. Urban spaces are completely accessible, but nevertheless they are way ahead of what is available in the rural area. So, take examples we're talking about. We have wheelchairs. Wheelchairs that run on four wheels, two large wheels and two small wheels at the front. And wheelchairs can only be used on level ground. You cannot self wheelchair cannot on surfaces that are not cemented or not roads. Even if it's pebbles, you can't really navigate one example of difference between rural India and urban India. Right? I am given this example. You had wheelchairs for very many years that we know, but the first wheelchair meant for use in rural area was built in 2006. Okay. Not only was it meant to be for rural area, it was to give people a reasonable range. That is important. You can make equipment for people to be mobile. House will be mobile to receive 100 meters, or it will give them a range of 4 kilometers. Okay. So, more meters in here ranges will not exceed 50 to 100 meters. You couldn't achieve much of that. If you really want to improve the law, ideally to give them something that will make them travel across cities independently. What does this mean? This means that you have a wheelchair that they can, if it's a person who has wheelchair, has a wheelchair that they can get on, they can comfortably wheel themselves for a kilometer and a half. They should be able to collect, take it on a public transport, which means the public transport will be available for people with wheelchairs to get into. We go the roads of wheelchair from the bus on the curb, and then they will go where we want. Now, why is it important as a problem statement? Today, if there is somebody in a village, there is very few learning and employment opportunities within the same village. If even a normal able person would have to travel across towns to study and to get access to work and earn a decent living. And that is what Satyaprabhu is saying, that how do you make a physical locomotive, person locomotive disability being able to look on par with an able person? Now, if this part is in each one of your minds as an objective, then I'm sure so, very often you have a solution to start the right problem statement, but then you won't get a proper solution. Statement in the context in what is delivered is very important. What are the statements as a problem statement? That overarching problem statement. It is a lot of people would say this is broken, but that's where we must get it, and it will take us some time to get there. The statement or to contribute to that thought will go a long way to make it possible. That's what I have to say about the importance of such things. Secondly, not only solutions come from young minds, people who think afresh. People who have not got a past guidance as to how something should be done. This is the only way in which it can be done. I think people should think freely, go back, come up with limited solutions, maybe ideas does not matter. So long as you think it is able to solve the problem. Right? Alongside a couple of other considerations keep in mind for these solutions. The first is costs are very concentrated. Most of the with locomotive disability afford to spend more than 2,000 or 2,500 rupees as a capital expenditure of 5.5 hours. They cannot get it so but they get very far off because it is their own mobility device. If it doesn't work, they can't move. So the capability to service such equipment should be available very close to the usage point. Okay. These are two aspects that have to Apart from the fact that the product will be useful in rural India, given the conditions of our roads in rural India and whatever else. Okay. So that's my brief introduction. I'm willing to take any questions that anybody has.
Thank you, Mohan. If there are any questions? Any questions that you have on the I guess there are no questions at this time, Mohan. So thank you so much for joining us.
Okay. Got it. Bye. And good luck to the participants. Right.
So I think with that we have to wind up this session. Maybe for the next
I come from Vellore, which is a small town. Yeah. Oh, I see. I come from Vellore, which is a small town near Chennai. There are people who have been affected by some injuries or whose limbs are not there, and that affects their whole life after the injury or after the disease. Their initial question of how can I earn my own living and how can I use my abilities, my strength, some business, some job which can sustain my whole life. Uh, so I usually start with a small presentation about very old tradition in India. This tradition has been old process which has been mastered in Rajasthan. They use old trunks of trees and they pound it like this. When you, it's a very simple process which can be adapted for the physically handicapped. If you have a clock, you just have to put into national diet or with the clock. So there are people at UP hospital who are currently employed to do clock tracing. They are earning a wage. It takes a lot of time to learn this. It takes a lot of time to understand that how can it takes a lot of muscle skill because we want like a mechanism through which we can do this process comfortably. This process has not been changed since it was invented. What can we do to make this block trading process a mode of livelihood for people who are suffering from physical handicaps like or say burn victims who are facing a lot of social stigma, who are secluded from the society, who are not accepted as a part of who are not accepted as employable. by NGOs because just because they don't have limbs. How can we give them a chance to prove that through blockchain they earn other way? So I want to share with you the story of Chandrasekhar, who works in the Hubli Hospital Rehabilitation Center. Um, so actually, the Charles who was a bird victim who has small stubs fingers which are being surgically added. And she faces difficulty in gripping the she with the lower this. And if you actually try to process, it is very heavy. So the muscles get tense, and after a day of doctor, your arms pain a lot. It is the shoulder joint. It is this portion where you have flesh. So how can we make these persons more comfortable? A scalable venture through which these people can actually earn their own living and have a profitable business. There is a lot of demand from markets like USA or Europe, and this design studio will offer me the chance to pitch different YouTubers are actually marketing the blockchains to which are being produced by the hospital. So how like do the production efficiently because currently it takes double the time to make the same number of beds if it as compared to normal computing process as compared to the process which is done by the how can we improve the gripping? How can we improve the point where pressure? And how can we improve the point where we precisely place the block on the piece of textile exactly near by the. So this is the challenge that we how can we provide them with a livelihood solution through which it is profitable for the customer, which is the individual non-profitable organization, or also provide them with an increasing level of income. This BDC documenting a bridge to sustain the livelihood is just the first step. After that, through this, we envision that they would be able to prove themselves. If we can make adaptable to our skills, adaptable to our needs, adaptable to our abilities, how can we venture into other employment sectors, other sectors of employment? I'm Vinodai, and as representing Global Hands, this is the name of the project. Um, Now, currently, our team, which has Shrikant, like Smita, me, Free Design, this is the company I own, and Shrikant, yeah, yeah. And Nitin Basek, and a few more people. We have come up with certain solutions. One solution is so this is block training table as you can see. Just so the first solution is given by Sanil Kabra. I could not do justice to the solution, but I have one more. You can actually have an XY pattern kind of a structure, like basically two rods on which you this is not the structure which you can see. If you see the CNC, they are organization or direction. And this assembly is kept on the table, and this basically you don't have to lift the block and put the block again, and this solve the position of the block. And in order to put pressure, you can have a lever and which has a band attached to it. So if you have the band, you can with the bed and the lever is pivoted on the block, and the block takes that action in order to fail. That is one of the solutions we came up with. We are looking for more solutions which can actually be adapted by the people who are doing the block printing process. Which can be like we are looking for co-creating solutions with them rather than for them. So yeah, we're looking for simple and elegant solutions. Thanks.
Thanks, Hello. I guess sometimes I like to deliver yourselves. Yeah, I deliver yourself. Global is a very wonderful kind of an application. That can really change perspective for how we life do. But I can see that if you want to apply for the mechanism itself to get people use that for multiple applications, I think that's the worst for the programming. So think about it and let's see if you want to apply the mechanism itself as an application into the process. So I would just leave you guys with one video that sums up how innovations are typically done and how you guys can actually take whatever you're seeing as more research and then look at how you want to innovate. So how many of you here have heard of an MIT professor called Ramesh Raskar? So Ramesh Raskar gets from Classic and works for MIT Media Labs and heads their camera culture lab. So they have done some phenomenal work implementing this and I just play one video of his morning talks so that you guys can, he's there on tech and on video. I'll just play the one on video because it's short so that you can see how there's a method to video. So I'll just leave that video now.
The more than 3 billion cameras were created and unlimited. 3 billion cameras in the world and creating an amazing solution in imaging and video production. So my is pushing the envelope in futuristic technologies and also imaging for social innovation, such as mobile phone diagnostics, that in this case can assist cameras or cameras that can see the world at 1 trillion frames per second. Look around corners and technology sharing information. Now, every one of us has the intrinsic ability to understand and solve problems. But those sessions often seems confusing. And what I have learned is I need a mental framework. If I hear a great with one sense. I call this framework an idea hexagon. And it's not common sense, but you just apply formulas and come up with the result. So let's start with an example. There's a great opportunity in creating a business, a website, where you can share photos. What would be the next step? Yes. Okay, please. You just find one image, the time image. Well, because it was sold for a few $1 million, but YouTube was sold for $1.6 billion. Not applying and generalizing an idea to other dimensions can be very powerful. But if talk about displays that gone from 2D to 3D, but that requires this funny glasses. So we have invented technologies for class 3D displays. So it turns out to do that, you have to create 4D displays. It turns out 3D, but actually 4D. And the challenge, of course, is 4-dimensional displays require about 1 terabyte per second of data. To feed the display. So we have created a new compressive display that can reduce that down to a manageable 1 gigabyte per second. Where the compression happening not longer, but in office. Strategy number 2 is if you get a great idea X, combine and the more dissimilar X and Y, more spectacular the fusion. A few years ago, I went for a CT scan. The noise in the machine. I went online and found what it is. You have to remove the front panel. So this technology hasn't changed for the last 30 to 40 years. So there was a aha. Space telescopes actually use a coded aperture method because they want to look at faint stars and cannot build optics for X-ray. The technology for CT scans and space telescopes and create a new form of solutions that have no mechanical motion. You might be able to get a CT scan and volumetric images using just that address report. Strategy number 3, a hammer only is actually a new technique find all of the problems you can solve. I grew up in Nasik, in a family, no TV, no fridge, no TV. But when I was 10, Also, it did give me black and white camera. One goes developing was expensive. So you know how long it took me to take those 24 photos? A week, a month, a whole year. I was in the shop. Well, I've come a long way from that, and they're really new technology, new cameras that can see the world, not a million or if you shoot a packet of light, a pulse of laser into the water at 1 trillion the light. So let's make a pulse on and you see light in slow motion propagating across. The light eventually hits the cap of the bottle, starts scattering out. Some of the light is trapped in the air bubbles. Meanwhile, on the table, and to show this movie by a factor of 10 billion. Now, if you take a bullet, which was pretty fast, and send it about the same distance, about a foot, and again by a factor of 10 billion, you know how long you have to sit here to watch that movie? A week, a month, whole year. And you have ultra-fast imaging. What needs can we start here? We can create new forms of computational photography by using time-lapse coding and create these images that show the ripples of waves. Or we can use this ultra-fast camera, this photography, to look across. Is to send light on visible parts inside the door. Part of the light will reflect into the room. A fraction of the light will come back to the door and back to the camera. And by analyzing this multiple boxes of light, we can see around the corners. And in the science fiction, we have built this setup and do a demonstration on table. It takes us some time before we take this out into the real world. In the future, in the cars that can avoid collision, walk around the bank, or look for and use endoscopes that can see inside the body beyond that size. Sometimes you can use the hammer to pick all the nails, but you can also pick screws. App Store, without the idea of App Store, into the body of the phone, why don't we have every instrument, every device, every gadget that has a computing in it? Your microwave, fridge, your car should have some apps. Tradition number 4 is actually the name, find all the apps. Amazing, find all the different solutions that look in front of and apply them. And this idea is not just for technology, but you can imagine also using it for finance, for our relationships. The next strategy is to think about adding your favorite engine. And common objectives everybody uses is making it faster, better, can make it adaptive, distributed, parallelized, some of the new ones, clean, democratized, and so on. And finally, you can final vertex is just taking the inverse of whatever it is. Being a teenager, being a river, and the exactly opposite of what others do. And before fostering in the 1960s, for a high jump would straddle and land in a sand. But when the sand is replaced by a homer, Foster realized that it can jump on the back and was the main way to hatch. Long story short, they went on to win Boulder and scale. Now everybody uses in the ecosystem of an athlete. One tiny change, which is sandpaper, was replaced with a foamer. And we have to watch out for that tiny change in the duties. For me, the foamer moment was an announcement of high resolution displays on mobile phones. And pitch of a mobile phone is down to about 25 megapixels. So let's look at that and see how diagnostics is done. Don't look at this is how you split that device by the change. If you want to do a retinal scan. This is the device that costs $250,000 for checkup. The user shove my eye into the eyepiece and to get a prescription for eyeglasses and lost in a crowd. And these technologies are around, but are that otherwise are solutions. So we came up with a new solution called Netra, which is a snap-on eyepiece that goes on top of the cell phone. Look to this light refraction in the keyboard of the phone, and then the light it calculates and gives the data for the description of the light. And the results are comparable. And the bonus you can also scan for that. As you know, there are millions who need glasses but are not very good. Because it's still very challenging, but providing classes has become easier and easier. And so, what Netra is doing is effectively taking the most complicated instrument, so called wavelet sensor, and doing exactly opposite the next part. So, shining lasers to the eye is using the LCD on screen. But with devices like this, children can have a shot at the station. This is a thermometer for an eye. So, Netra is being used for forward, working with NGOs and government agencies, clinics, and designers, technologists to move this forward. And when you saw in this model by using a village, I realized that entrepreneurs can take new technologies to the market. Every one of us has intrinsic abilities, invent and solve problems. With a mental framework, every one of us do technologies and social innovation the next level. Thank you.
Yes, it was a very good to how you can actually look at existing devices or something that you want to draw inspiration from and then put it at the center and then kind of do your own permutation combination for our competition. So it's fairly straightforward because if you see what they want to be doing, sometimes it just feels like you just able to innovate and come up with a billion-dollar idea. So I would just leave you guys with that video. It's available on YouTube, and unfortunately, I was reading subtitles. It's really bad on that. Please don't go by subtitles, but listen to the talk. So apart from that, I think that will be from the month. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing more applications from some of you guys. Hopefully inspired by the talk, and perhaps and seeing that what did we do, what did we change. Thank you, everyone.
Aditya. So,